So we're going to go through all of the question types, and I'm going to talk about a few best practices when it comes to polling. So this is the institution, Macmillan Learning. The instructor is Natalie Dougal, and this is the course, Cloud 5.0 Tour. If anybody needs that information once we're going, maybe Lindsay could throw that in the chat for people. So when I'm ready to ask a polling question, what I come over here and do is I expand my toolbar, and then I come over here to this check mark, which is my polling icon. I'm going to click on it, and this looks really familiar. This is very similar to what we had with the secondary toolbar. Isn't it nice not to have two toolbars? I've kind of forgotten that we used to have two toolbars because I've been using 5.0 so long at this point. Here for the 3 dots, this is where you can turn your anonymous polls on and off. And this is also where you can change how the timer counts. You can either have a count up or you can have a countdown. Here in this is the results. I haven't run any poll questions yet, so I have nothing to look at, but you can see how it's all part of the same window. And I also have the opportunity to pull it around and kind of make it how I want my menu to look for me. I want to have it be customized for my preferences. And everything's pretty intuitive, you know, clicking something makes it big, clicking it makes it go away. So now I'm ready to ask a polling question. Now I can collapse this down and it'll take me right back to where I was before. So again, this is really about making it so that your desktop is not cluttered with a lot of tools you don't need when you don't need them. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to open up a multiple choice question for you all. And this is a game that you can do for ice breaking called Balance the Bars. So what you do is you open up a poll, but you don't close it. You open up your results. So you can see my results are live right now. So go ahead and throw in a vote. And what I want this group of people to do is to try and make it so all these bars are balanced along here. Let's see if we can do it. This is a super fun thing. So we've got, what's funny is we have more people joining the session. And so you can see how the voting is getting crazier. Students love this. This is such a great thing to do on the very first day of class. You'll have people yelling at each other. What's going on with B? Why are you guys jumping in? Oh, you guys are getting close. This is fun. Oh, well, we're at 17 responses. And the thing is, are there 3 people? Now there's 18. Okay. I'm actually excited by this. All right. This is probably, all right, that's as balanced as we're going to get. I'm stopping it. Okay, so this is so fun. And if you have a really big group of students, this is really great. But if I was teaching a real class, do you know what I would do after this? I would say, okay, everybody who's got an E, you got to go and find the other E's. Introduce yourselves. All the D's find each other. All the C's find each other. All the B's find each other. All the A's find each other. And in that way, I'm mixing up the class in a way that makes it so that it's a really easy entry for a shy student. And you'll see that to grade them, I just touched each of them. Now, listen, there's no right response here or wrong response here, but this is the kind of thing where if I'm asking my students questions and they really are participation questions, I still do keep a portion of my points back for correctness. But if it's a participation question where just participating enough, I give them that point. It's just a nice way to kind of build goodwill with your students. So that's an example of balancing the bars, super fun to do and makes multiple choices not kind of be quite so dull as before. So now I want to know from you all, and I'm just going to be greedy and pick your brains. I want to know, how do your polling questions differ from the questions you ask on more formal assessments like quizzes? So this is a short, did I do short answer? I got to make sure. See, now I'm worried.
You did.
I did. Thank you, Lindsay. So, you know, sometimes I've been using iClicker a long time. Sometimes I'm moving so fast that I start the wrong kind of question. Our students are really tolerant of that. I know that sometimes we can feel like, oh, I've got egg on my face. The one thing I would encourage you to do is if you run a question and it's not the one you intended, or, whatever, just go in and do some housekeeping later and delete those things, because students are turning to iClicker more and more to do their studying and to really kind of click back in. I'm going to give you guys, I'm getting a lot of responses. I'm really excited about this. Boy, I should be picking you guys' brains more often. And if you like these interactive tours, let us know, because we can do more of these in the future as well. I just think it's so good to use the product from the student side so that we can have, empathy. All right. I'm going to give it until 30 seconds. 1 minute and 30 seconds. This is so good to feel like your students do too. You know, the question is still open. Maybe you've submitted a response. How do you feel right now? How engaged are you? That's something that your students are feeling as well. All right. I stopped it. I'm going to look at my results. Okay, look at this. We've got all kinds of different reasons and ways that people use polling. So more open-ended. Polling questions are conversation story. Polling questions are for fun. They're more open-ended. They are worth less points. That's good. Some polling questions are opinion questions. Not sure how they'll differ yet. Great. We have somebody who's new to polling. Great to have you here. Representative of what they will see on actual exams. This is a really good thing to be explicit with your students about. You know, a lot of instructors use polling this way, and students really appreciate when you say, hey, these are exam questions that we're using. Let's see. There is a variety available now. There is. More specific topic related, poll questions for opinions or predictions. Quiz questions have right answers. So this person right here is, you know, they're really differentiating between the formative and the more casual assessments. Polling are more fun and interactive. They can be on the fly and they can be easier. The answer that I would add in here is that polling questions can be tricky. I really try to never, ever, ever have an exam question where a student comes up later and says, is this a trick question? I know I've done something badly to my students if they come up to me during the exam and say, are you trying to trick us here? Because I'm not interested in tricky logic once we're in an exam. But if we're in a polling question, I really do want to try and trick them into picking common wrong answers, you know, because polling is a time to kind of dredge up that stuff that our students may not be aware that they're even carrying around about our subject. And so we'll kind of, you know, put in that wrong answer that we think that somebody might be able to get. You can see here too, you can display your questions as a word cloud. So that can be really nice in your conversational classes. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to our next polling question. Woo. All right, I am curious to know, so I'm going to ask numeric, how much are iClicker activities worth in your course? And if you don't know, put in X. So did I limit this as a numeric response, Lindsay? Yes, I did. Oh, because I'm looking at my instructor app. Hey, I just found this out. So I've got my instructor app in front of me, and it will tell me what kind of question I asked, so I don't have to think, oops, I asked the wrong type. It's right here.
I don't think you can put an X with the numeric.
You can't? Oh, you can't do an X or a Y? See, we learn all kinds of things. I don't teach math.
You can put E.
Okay. All right, so I can see I've got about 10 responses. Numeric questions tend to be pretty fast, so I'm going to wait until this is a full minute. You know, how long does a polling question feel like when it's open for a minute? For you as the instructor, it feels very long. Right now, you're in that response mode. Does it feel as long as it does when you're the one turning them on and off? Let's see. All right, let's get those last votes in. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's go ahead and look at those results. All right, so we've got a lot. I like whoever's giving 100% for iClicker. We've got invalid response, which is probably an X, so now we know. You know, one of the things about doing polling in your class is you are bringing in something that is going to behave in a way that's unexpected. And to me, my favorite, absolute favorite moments of teaching are times when something unexpected happens. You know, a lot of instructors will teach the same lesson plans and work on them and perfect them for years and years and years, and I was one of them for a long time. But boy, did I love when there was just a moment of real spontaneity and really understanding where my students were at, that polling can really get you to pretty quickly. So I can see here we've got a wide variety of different worth that instructors are giving. And so I'll just tell you, as far as best practices go and what the general research has found, 5% or less tends to be, oh, and you can put in a percent sign, there you go. 5% or less tends to be about the right amount. And you might be thinking, wow, that's really low. Or, you know, if you're the person who did the 0.05, you might think that that's really high, but maybe you're talking about overall. Anyway, so 5% is just about right, simply because we talked about earlier, this is supposed to be about engagement. This is supposed to be about risking a wrong answer and not feeling like it's worth too much. And this is about bringing an element of liveliness into your class that helps make learning stickier. And so when we make it a huge portion of our class, it really stresses our students out, and they're not able to really kind of learn through play. And so if we make it too valuable, we take away the play element that our students really like. And then we also incentivize dishonest behavior. So, the more something is worth to a student, the more someone who is desperate might do something that they might not otherwise do. And, then there are sometimes systems on campus where students are trying to cheat. They're not going to cheat if they know that they're getting 0.1% each time they come in. Also, one of the great things about iClicker Reef, students do not loan each other their laptops. They do not loan each other their phones. So that's something too if you're concerned about academic honesty. But 5% is about the right percent for this sort of a thing. All right, let's try one more. So we're gonna do two more. So here is a target question. So with the target question, what you get to do is, I just sent you an image of my screen, and you need to touch where you believe the correct answer is. So what I've done here is I've asked you all, what do you use iClicker most in your classroom? What is the most value about it? Is it to address common misconceptions and myths? Is it to encourage consistent student attendance? Is it to transform class time into game time? Do you use it to simplify peer instruction sessions? Do you use it to help passive observers become active learners? Do you use it to encourage class-wide participation? Do you use it to find out what students know and don't know? Or do you use it to make large classes feel small and small classes feel safe? So this is really nice because sometimes you want to give your students a lot of options. You don't want to just say A, B, C, D, E, but maybe you also still want to direct them, or say you have images that you want to use. So with a target question, and if you haven't clicked send on where you put your blue dot, make sure you press send before I click the stop button. With a target question, we're really able to bring in a lot more variety. So let's go ahead. I'm going to stop this at the 15. Always nice to give a little warning. Okay. And then let's go ahead and see what this looks like. So you can see I have a nice big image because I already stretched out my results screen to be really nice and big. So the first time that you put 5.0 on your computer and you start playing with it, make sure that you put it where you really like it. Open up the results window and say, okay, I want it to be about this big. I want it here because the software is going to remember. So here we can see when I hover my mouse over where all those purple dots ended up, and it seems like we have a lot of people who are trying to make large classes feel small and small classes feel safe. And that makes me so happy because that's really what iClicker does. And we see that in the big classroom. In the small classroom, I think it's so important to remember that sometimes a voice that we don't see as a dominating voice can be making it so that other people aren't speaking up. So I just love how it gives everybody the opportunity to really get into the conversation. And we also like to help observers become move from passive observation to active learning. I love all these reasons too. So when I want to grade it, all I need to do is draw my little box around where I feel the correct answer is, and then I click save. And you all are just doing great. You've been getting lots of right answers. All right, I have one last polling question for you. And you'll notice, oh, I wanted to say one thing. This question mark here, there's an instructor that we have who works with us sometimes who uses a lot of target questions, and she always puts this here because she would rather have her students say, I don't know, rather than guess. Because if they don't tell her, I don't know, she doesn't know that they don't know. So she puts this question mark here, and they click that instead of picking an answer so she can quickly see if a lot of the class is confused. Pretty cool. All right, last type. This is an anonymous question. I want to know, all right, group, how actually ready are you all for this new academic year? So scale from 1 to 10. So you'll notice with my anonymous question, this turns black. It says anonymous here. And when I have a poll running, I can even bring my icon way, way down. Let's say, one of the things I like to do is open up a short answer when I'm explaining something to a group. And I like to have them put their questions into iClicker Reef because then I have a record of it. And also I believe that when someone's hand goes up to raise a question, their ears don't work as well. So I like giving them the outlet, but I might not want it on my desktop. So this is really nice to see, oh yeah, my poll's still running. Okay, so I've got 19 answers. I'm gonna do this at the 45, 20. Let's see how prepared everybody is. Ooh, yeah. Well, we got some 11s, we got some 7s, we got a 0. All right. You know, now you'll notice I can't click anything here. Why is that? Because this is an anonymous poll. If I was able to go ahead and click on it, then I would be able to reverse engineer my gradebook and I'd be able to figure out who answered how. So I'm feeling really good that so many of you guys were rating yourself so high. You know, if you're rating yourself low, good luck. I think you'll be okay. And they have no idea. Your students have no idea you're not ready. Okay, to turn off anonymous polling, I just go on here and I turn it off. You know, when you first start asking anonymous questions, you may want to keep your questions a little bit safe for a little while because they truly are anonymous. We can't go back for you if someone says something rude and find that out for you. All right, so that's the end of our polling portion of our tour, and I hope